So The Housemaid was directed by Paul Feig and it stars Sydney Sweeney, Amanda Seyfried, and Brendan Sklenar. And it's about this woman named Millie, played by Sydney Sweeney, who gets this job interview and gets a job at working as a housekeeper or the housemaid of this house that involves a married couple, played by Amanda Seyfried and Brendan Sklenar. Soon, Millie realizes that a lot of weird things are kind of happening in this house. The people in the house are kind of odd, and so on and so forth. So this was a movie that I was not really looking forward to. I heard it was based off a book, but I never read the book. I'm also not really the biggest fan of Sydney Sweeney. I don't really find her to be that good of an actress, if I'm being honest. To be fair, I did see Christie, which I thought she was actually really good in, and I would actually recommend that movie. And Paul Feig, as far as I know, he's directed a few good movies in his career. I'm not the biggest fan of Bridesmaids, but I do respect it. I do really enjoy Spy. A Simple Favor, which I kind of will compare this to in a moment, is actually pretty good. I was kind of hoping with this movie too that it was going to be more in line with something like, say, A Simple Favor. That movie looked like it was going to be like this straightforward thriller and such, but you had people like Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively in it who can do comedy at least. And the movie itself kind of plays like a dark comedy, and I thought that movie was actually entertaining. The less said about Another Simple Favor, the better. So this movie, I was kind of hoping that it was going to fall into that category a bit. And when I saw this movie, yeah, that's kind of what I got from it. This movie clearly is not going to take itself seriously, and I kind of had a good time with it because it didn't take itself seriously. Let's talk about what I liked about this movie. It's mainly because the actors do a pretty good job, particularly Amanda Seyfried. She is very underrated as an actress. I know she has an Oscar nomination and such, but I thought she was really good in this movie. She plays this character so well. She's completely over the top in this movie, but I thought she was very good in this movie. Also, Sydney Sweeney is also not that bad in this movie. Again, I haven't really been a big fan of her as an actress, but I thought she played her character pretty well. Also, Brendan Sklenar also kind of impressed me in this movie. When you kind of get to know more about his character, you'll kind of see like why it's like, okay, he's actually really good at hiding a lot of really dark shit. And it's like, okay, he's actually really good in this movie. You kind of believe everything that he's doing throughout this entire movie. And again, the tone of this movie works. It plays a lot like a soap opera in the sense that it's like, okay, we're not going to take this as seriously as possible. A lot of moments in this movie are played for melodrama rather than just straight drama. And I think it works to that effect. I think this movie, if you go in expecting like a straightforward drama, you may not like it. But if you go in expecting something that's a little bit silly, something that clearly is not going to take itself seriously, I think you'll enjoy this movie quite a bit. There are definitely some interesting twists. I kind of couldn't predict exactly what was going to happen. I guess it was less, I was predicting like how it was going to play out, more like what exactly was going to play out. And I thought that kind of worked with this movie too, which I'll kind of talk about a little bit because I need to talk about something that I don't like about it. And I do think there are some fun moments throughout this entire movie. And it's like, this is one of those movies where it's like, I know I'm not going to take seriously. And I'm glad that the filmmakers and actors on screen really did not take this seriously. Well, I would say they took it seriously enough to kind of make it at least silly enough, but also kind of have some thrills in it to kind of make it a nice blend of genres. So, what don't I like about this movie? There are a couple things about this I don't like. Even though I couldn't entirely predict where this story was going to go, I kind of predicted that something was going to happen. Like, once a character comes in, you kind of know, like, they're going to be part of, like, the main twist at the end of the movie. And it's kind of disappointing when it's like, yeah, it's kind of playing out the way I kind of expected it to. Also, for some random reason in this movie, Sydney Sweeney has a narration, but it's very infrequent and it kind of annoyed me. Like, she has a little bit at the beginning and she has a little bit at various other points in the movie, and I felt like that was just unnecessary. We can kind of figure out everything that's kind of going on, and I felt like her narration itself was kind of pointless. Also, there's another character, a couple more characters in this movie who I felt like weren't necessary for this movie whatsoever. One who's like this groundskeeper who's kind of like, he may know some secrets and such. Yeah, he's barely in the movie. Okay, what was the point of him being in this movie, really? I don't know. Also, Elizabeth Perkins appears as one of the main character's mothers. Again, you could have done a lot with her, but unfortunately, you didn't. She kind of appears very infrequently as just kind of like stunt casting rather than anything else. It's just very disappointing to kind of see her in a role like that and just kind of waste that character. Overall, also, I would say, while I think A Simple Favor is funnier, I think this one is still kind of straightforward. Like, it's not nearly as funny as that movie was. And I was kind of hoping that this movie was going to be as funny as that. And while it's definitely better than Another Simple Favor, I will say that this movie, it knows that it shouldn't take itself seriously. And I think that kind of makes the movie at least watchable and at least entertaining enough to kind of recommend. So, for The Housemaid, I will say that even though It has a very campy tone, which I think works for this movie very well, and the performances are pretty good, particularly Amanda Seyfried's. And also, again, there are some intriguing thrills, there are some fun moments here and there. The only things that kind of keep this movie from really being a great movie are the fact that the twist is a little predictable and like how it kind of is going to play out and such. Some characters are wasted, and the narration in this movie I found to be incredibly pointless. This is still kind of a fun movie. I think this is going to be one of those movies where people are going to enjoy it because they genuinely like it or because they genuinely think it's silly. And I think that's fun either way. I'll give The Housemaid 3 out of 4 stars. See it. So, what was your favorite movie that knew it wasn't taking itself seriously? Comment down below, subscribe to the channel. This is Pat. Stay safe.